This video is to help you complete the third part of your standards-based lesson plan, which is coming up with your instructional activity. When people think of what a teacher does, it's this stuff. Figuring out a way to make your lesson become alive and engage the students is what we live for. Writing the instruction into a lesson plan isn't as exciting, but it does serve as our roadmap for what we'd want to do during that particular lesson. So what kind of instruction will you find at the school that you want to work at? So that's the first thing you should do in this assignment. So read through the different resources of types of instruction. Something called differentiated instructions, a word that we use often, and refers to having different levels of challenges for students in your class or in your lesson. Student-centered models in which the students are driving the lesson is a instructional activity in which we ask you to include the CREED standards that we've talked about earlier, in which we get students to think and talk, collaborate, choose what they want to do, see the modeling by you or other students, make it meaningful for them, and put in new ideas and content in which they can relate the new language to something they already know. You can use the more traditional type, which is a teacher-centered model called direct instruction, and a lot of reasons why teachers prefer this is because it's just simply the easiest to use. It doesn't really matter as much to them whether the students are actually doing the learning. Guided teaching is a balanced approach in which there is a lecture-based lesson, but in that lecture-based lesson, you bring in elements of the student-centered. So we don't let the students do whatever they want on their own. We actually guide them through that. Then you're going to create, after you look at those, you're going to create instruction for your standards-based lesson plan. And again, it all is based on what action verb is in your benchmark. Whatever type of behavior you've chosen, then you need to identify an instructional activity that allows that action to occur. So if you want the students to write, then the instruction should be about writing. And again, when you do the CREED, more than likely your students will find your activity very engaging. So we want you to think about these different parts of the lesson and see if you can include them in your particular lesson. There's a mnemonic to help you remember whenever you're trying to review for a lesson, which is called Teach and Model Meaningful Language, which represents all 7 CREED aspects. Here are some other resources in which you can just brainstorm for different lesson ideas by going to databases that contain different lessons. And then the third thing you want to do after you've picked a type of lesson you want to do is write it out step by step in enough detail the teacher could follow. And this is having, for example, you would be telling the teacher or the students what to do. So have students take out their workbooks that contain the animal of the month and place it on their desk. This is telling you how to do something instead of just what to do. So there's a difference. Then, once you've got your step-by-step instruction, put it into your Part 2 of guiding the learning in your standards-based lesson plan. Now you can go back and you can identify Part 1C, which is the actual performance standard specific to the assessment. So if your benchmark has quite a few different action verbs in it, then you can actually pick one that matches your instruction. Once you do that and you write it in Part 1C, there we go, and step 6, you can view an example of this assignment, keep it in a safe place on your computer, and then you have one more section to go, and then your lesson will be complete.